Okay, hi everybody. I'm doing an update. I haven't done a podcast in a couple weeks. Some things have changed, so I'm just going to kind of update everybody. I'm here in my new studio apartment, which is kind of empty right now, but I got a really good deal on it. So I had the fundraiser, as some of you know, to try to raise money to go to Alaska this spring, where I was going to work seasonally and report on my adventures in Alaska, about eventually building a cabin in the woods and living off the land. But I didn't really raise the money, and I was kind of running out of money, so I'm working a full-time job at a call center doing tech support for a cable company, and I found a good deal on an apartment. It was a $99 move-in special. So with the security deposit of $150 and the $99 rent for this month, it was really cheap to move in. So now I got a studio apartment. There's my air conditioning. There's my empty space. And there's my sleeping bag and some books. There's my kitchen. There's my closet. So that's the tour. So I'm going to be here a year now. I feel like that'll be enough time to save enough money to get up there, renew my passport, further plan how I'm going to get up there. Might take the ferry. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to be in Tucson. I want to get in shape and spend time outdoors, work on making some artwork, seeing some cool things around Tucson. I'm going to try to get some guests on the podcast. One thing I've been thinking about is how fun the internet used to be, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, and how things have kind of shifted. I think what happens is one of the things that happened is Google changed their algorithm, and also a few social media platforms came to dominate the internet. So now it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It used to be more of an open field, just people would Google weird stuff, and it would take you to some bizarre website, and you'd read about aliens and Bigfoot and like weird conspiracy theories. And I'm trying to think, I just feel like I used to constantly search and research all these weird things. I haven't been doing it as much, so I'm trying to figure out why. I mean, obviously it's not the most healthy thing in the world to spend all your time on the internet. I acknowledge that, and I have a lot of other outdoor activities I like to do. But still, it used to be a lot more fun, as I remember. Looking at David Icke articles, because at the time, before the internet, we just had print media, and it was kind of hard to access really radical ideas. You had info shops making zines. Unless you lived in a big city, you weren't really able to access seriously radical information unless you go to the public library, I guess, and look up Karl Marx or something. So it seems like there was a big mushrooming, a big upswell of all this weird conspiracy stuff, occult stuff. And I was sort of a part of the tail end of that when I wrote for Disinformation before it went under. But I guess in the 90s, in the early 2000s, after the internet was really taken off, a lot of people, what it was is people had a hunger to make sense of the world. Because we lived in this strange situation where, at least speaking from somebody in the United States, we live in a country where we're constantly led to believe that we have all this freedom and democracy. But then, you look at your life and you feel like I sort of spend most of my time working a job where somebody else is in charge of everything. And, then when I get home, I'm kind of tired, so I don't really have a lot of energy to do all this other stuff I might want to do. And, I realize I don't have a lot of money. So you're told you have all this freedom and democracy, but it really seems like everything's controlled by other people in your life. And it seems to be a society set up to benefit the very rich, So it's like it's kind of a bizarre sort of scenario that you live in, but then nobody will acknowledge it. Nobody on TV will acknowledge it. You watch the news, everybody's talking about how we're so lucky to live here, and that the troops are keeping us safe overseas, but then it seems like, are they really keeping us safe, or are they just involved in wars that have nothing to do with us? So people had all these things swirling in their head. They would go to kind of weird people like David Icke, and he would say, well, it's because there's these people that are in charge, they're actually lizards. They're not human. They're interdimensional lizards that control everything for their own ends. And the only reason I think more people gave it credence is because things really are bizarre. Things really do seem bizarre, so you search for a bizarre explanation, So I think it's useful as an analogy, as a metaphor of the ruling class. But it's also, it was like an age of innocence, I think, back in the, about 10, 15 years ago, before the internet really took off. People had access to so much information. People were a little more innocent. So you can't really recapture, I think, the joy of reading about lizard people online. Now that you've come to understand more about the world. But I kind of just have some nostalgia for just typing in a Google search and having no idea what I was going to find. Now they have it set up so Google will bring up like CNN, Wikipedia, Snopes. Like they'll bring up all the establishment propaganda right up to the top of the search, and they'll shadow ban like weird, websites and stuff, really wacko left-wing stuff, which I always like to get their take on things, even if I don't agree. I want to have like a broad span of voices that I listen to. Even on Twitter, I don't follow tons of people on Twitter, but I feel like I follow a good broad span of opinions. And the other thing that happened to me is I got really excited about Bernie Sanders, and then he lost the election. It really seemed rigged by the DNC and Hillary Clinton. So I was kind of bummed out about that. So that kind of dampened my enthusiasm for progressive activism, but I'm thinking of maybe getting a little more involved in that. But I would like to bring some of the weirdness back to the internet. I'd like to sort of explore some of the deep picture, like big questions, like where is technology leading us? Are we gonna have a technological singularity? Are we gonna be transhumanists? Are robots gonna become our overlords? What's really going on with global warming and the environment? Where'd the $4 trillion go that the Pentagon can't account for? Is there a secret space program, a breakaway civilization, as Alex Jones alluded to on the Joe Rogan podcast? So as I'm going to be here for a year, saving money for my next step, I'd like to maybe explore some of these interesting ideas. So some of the bigger picture kind of weirdness of life. And so anyway, I'm just going to sign off now. This podcast is hopefully going to improve over time with the production values. I'm going to have guests. I have a lot of people to compete with just for time. There's only so much time in a day. And so people have choices of what podcasts they want to listen to. So I'm going to try to break into that. Okay, thank you.